DLC remakes and remasters are now eligible for Game of the Year nominations. The Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical work each year, irrespective of the format that the content's released. Expansion packs, new game release, new game seasons, DLCs and remakes or remasters are eligible in all categories. If the jury deems the new... And fuck their jury, by the way. If the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination, factors such as newness of the content and its price value should be taken into consideration. Right. Let's start with this one. Let's just work our way through it one at a time. Expansion packs and DLCs, we'll group them together. That's clearly just so Erdtree can win. Now, I fundamentally believe that Shadow of the Erdtree should not be in the Game of the Year category.
I agree.
Purely because it is not a game. It is a DLC. It's a big DLC. Now, there was the running meme that Elden Ring put out Shadow of the Erdtree, which is almost a new game disguised as a DLC. Meanwhile, Call of Duty put out Modern Warfare 3, which is a DLC that's disguised as a new game. Other way around. They flipped it, okay? So, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to have this in there. I don't. Now, I know Cream might disagree. We're going to get to that part. Let's go through all this. New game seasons. I think this is just so fucking stupid to have a season of a game. So let's just say something. Okay, Call of Duty, just because I said that, so it's the first one on my mind. Black Ops 6, Season 4, everyone turns around and goes, holy fuck, that was incredible. I wish they would do more of that. I don't think a season of a game can be nominated for Game of the Year. The Game of the Year has to take everything into an account, which is why the discussion around Helldivers 2 being a potential Game of the Year contender is an interesting conversation, because there's various parts of that game where I would say, absolutely, that deserves to be nominated. And then 3 months later, they'll do some update where I'll go, fuck, that was awful. What were they thinking? You got to take everything into consideration. This seems just like cherry picking.
Your live service experiences are also going to vary heavily from player to player, and I don't think it's a smart idea to make something that's encapsulated in player to player experiences and a standout for a Game of the Year.
And I should say, they already have a best live service game.
Best live service, yes. Best ongoing support. That's
which
fine. Put it in
older
there.
games are available, like Warcraft. World of Warcraft was nominated for last year, I believe.
Right? Warframe was too.
Exactly. So that is a game where that is a category for games like that are ongoing. My thing is, I don't know fully how to feel with the expansion and the DLC thing. On the whole, I don't like it, but I also feel like fucking Erdtree really is just a sequel. It is a sequel game, effectively. And all they did was throw it on top of the existing game. I feel like that should be an exception, and you shouldn't rewrite the fucking rules, though, for the entire category, because...
Would you say Blood and Wine?
I don't think I would. You know what? And that's the thing. Is there not a category for best expansion? Best DLC?
There should be.
I believe there is.
Yeah, there should be, definitely.
Well, there we go. Do that, because actually, for Game of the Year, there's a lot of fucking contenders. Like a lot. And you can
problem is,
the argument for any of them.
I'll be really quick on this one, but the problem with that, though, Cream, is because this year, if you ask everybody what they consider a contender for Game of the Year, about 80% of what they say is AA and not AAA.
True.
And that's why I think these rules are being changed, is because, yeah, I would say that overall this was a good year for gaming, but a terrible year for AAA.
Oh,
and that's where they're fucked.
I mean, even IGN is admitting that there is
even IGN. Okay, that's how down bad we are when IGN has to admit it. It's over.
It's a AAA recession. That's effectively what you can call it. It's the market for it is receding. So for every AAA success we've had 2 or 3 failures this year that have been really big. A lot of layoffs. It's the worst game. It's the worst year in gaming on paper in history. But when you look at the games that we've had some amazing games. A lot of studios seem to be flourishing. Something like Saber, which was a great studio before, but now they're out from Embracer and they're able to be independent and do interesting stuff going forward that maybe they were being held back from doing. And even being held back from doing, you look at something like Space Marine 2, and that game is a beautiful fucking piece of art.
I want to ask you a quick question though, Cream. Like, with the fact that you have to own the base Elder Scrolls game to play Shadow of the Erdtree, shouldn't that be a factor? I mean, when it comes to an expansion, it's like, okay, hey, this is the game of the year, but you have to buy another game in order to get this experience. Like, it's not standalone.
I think if there isn't a best expansion, best DLC category, and there should be.
Yeah,
I mean, every game's coming out with DLC, and not all of them are made equally. I mean, you get something like Erdtree, and then you get like fucking Gobblegum packs for God.
Right. Because I want to go back to Half-Life real quick.
That's not DLC though.
With Half-Life Episode 1 and Episode 2, you did not have to own the base game to play those.
Also, you said Elder Scrolls instead of Elden Ring, but anyway.
Yeah, whatever. It's the same. They're all made by J.R.R. Tolkien or something. I don't know. I'm fucking it up.
George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, close enough. They're all fucking
R.R. Martin.
They're all African to me. I don't really care. What it really comes down to, though, is I can understand. I understand why people want this change, but looking at this, reading this, when you said it to me earlier, Lethal, I was like, I could see that being, up. It was a pretty fucking pretty fleshed out DLC where it really could have been a game of its own. But to change the category like this, to where like new game seasons, there's no fucking excuse for that being in there. I don't 100%. Know who could actually make a argument for that's convincing. I don't want to see that at all. DLCs and expansion packs, maybe, but to change the entire category, I think that's a problem. Like, just make a DLC award if you don't have one already. Erdtree was great, but also, even if you snubbed Erdtree, let's say there's no DLC award, it's not up for any awards, the Game of the Year award would still be filled with some fucking quality if they choose the right ones. I mean, there is a lot of great fucking games, and even smaller categories are going to be filled with some really good games. Look at the fighting game category. Well, it's going to have Sparking Zero, and that probably will take it if they're fucking smart.
Discontinued categories. Best Remaster was in a discontinued category, but they're bringing it back to be eligible for Game of the Year now.
And they got rid of Best Shooter, Developer of the Year. I don't know if there needs to be a Developer of the Year. That doesn't. Maybe Publisher of the Year, because they put out. Developers really are only putting out one game a year. The publisher will put out more. And Student Game, that's actually an award I think they should bring back, because guess what? That helps independent. That helps younger devs as well.
Highlight talent.
Exactly. Yeah. And even if you put it just on the pre-show or something like that, it's still a big accolade that person can take and be like, I won an award for a game I made when I was in college. You're going to want to hire me.
I just want to say real quick, the thing that concerns me with a lot of the more mainstream game awards, be it with, the streaming side and the corporate side, is that there's no nuance to it. With these guys, they're desperately trying to push for AAA and their buddies in the industry and to keep paying for that access. It's very apparent. Whereas on the other side, you have people that are just trying to give their buddies awards and picking very niche things that very niche gamers played through, but not actually promoting what is actually good. And it sucks that we're in the middle. Like, why would a remaster, like in film, like imagine if they gave awards to the best remasters. Some of the best film remasters happen and nobody takes notice because they go right to Blu-ray or, 4K Blu-ray or even DVD. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me that a remaster should ever be eligible. It's just,
even with remakes for films, there's a lot of times that a remake of a film will be very, very good. Like, for example, like a year or two ago, it was All Quiet on the Western Front.
Al Pacino,
was a remake.
Scarface, The Thing, The Fly.
The Thing.
Yeah.
Fly, yeah.
Al Pacino, Scarface, to this day, people go, wait, that's a remake? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's why
it's almost exactly the fucking same as well.
Yep. But yeah, why is the fuck Every game has expansions and DLCs, and they're getting bigger and more complex. Why do we not have that as a category? This should have been done 3 or 4 years ago at the very latest.
But anyway, where was that? So remakes and remasters. We don't think these should be eligible for Game of the Year nominations?
I think remakes can. Like, I will say, like I was talking about earlier with Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 expands upon the original game. The original game's 20 years old, and there's a mystery within the game to solve that gives clarity to what the game is. The original game was about 8 to 10 hours. This is 16 to 20 hours, depending on what you do, and things happen differently, and the combat's changed. I would be willing to nominate Silent Hill 2 as a Game of the Year because of what it does and how it redesigns things and how it actually is pretty fucking terrifying, especially compared to the old game, which I thought was terrifying at the time. And this one actually, this is the most scary I've seen a mainstream game ever. It achieves a lot. I think there's merit to nominating something like that or Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is a different game than the Resident Evil 4 that came out during the GameCube. I mean, it's designed differently. There are things that are laid out the same, but it takes itself far more seriously. It changes the tone. It changes some of the design. The AI is updated. I think remakes definitely should be considered, but I think they need to have a bit of scrutiny attached as well.
Well, here's the thing. You know how earlier I said they've added DLC so that way they can put Erdtree in, so that way they can kind of just sweep them off of AAA? This here, I will bet every sperm in my fucking ball sack that this is to defend Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Remakes and remasters is way more reasonable than the rest of this, and
I think remakes and remasters need to be separated. I don't think it's fair to lump them together, because with a remake, sometimes far more work goes into a remake, whereas a remaster is updating textures and updating graphical sliders.
I would also be fine with them doing a best remake and a best remaster award.
Yeah, that's cool.
They already fill the awards with so much bullshit that no one cares about. It's good to take these games that are actually good, actually quality, maybe not good enough to be Game of the Year, but still good enough to be recognized. And
remakes change the mechanics, remasters don't. When you do a remaster, you're leaving the mechanics intact for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, give a best remake, a best remaster award.
Silent Hill 2 has a completely different combat system. It adds, it doesn't subtract. It makes meaningful changes. It's completely different. Graphics, some of the parts are different, but not in a way that's infuriating. Same thing with like Resident Evil 4 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like, again, the combat system is entirely different. It's not like they reskinned the game. A remaster is, hey, we've reskinned the game, and in certain cases we've done quality of life improvements, like the text moves faster, or
even if you did take those and make those two categories, it doesn't stop something like Silent Hill 2 winning.
But what I'm saying is, I think remakes should be allowed to be in best game category. I think remasters need to be exempt, because what a remaster is very minimal compared to what a remake is.
I still don't think it should be there, and I think
I can accept.
I think this is just there to fucking cover for it.
I agree with you, Lethal, but I still think that remakes and remasters shouldn't be lumped. I think they should be separated. I think remakes should have higher credibility than remasters.
I kind of get where I actually kind of agree with Extra on this. Remakes, remasters. Yeah, it's just a fucking new coat of paint. It's like upscaling a film to 4K and being like, here's an Oscar for that. Like,
right? They've re-released The Last of Us, or they've released The Last of Us 1 3 times now.
Oh shit, The Last of Us 2. Oh no.
Well, yeah, The Last of Us 2 got, and the crazy part is they added haptics to The Last of Us Part 2 for its backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 5. The Last of Us 2 remastered was one of those unnecessary remasters ever. And that's a case where they've literally they've changed none of the level design, none of the dialogue, none of the sound. All they've done is add a fresh coat of paint, done a texture pack, and then give us $50, or was it $60? I can't remember.
Wait, did that come out this year though? The Last of Us 2?
It did, and then Horizon came out this year as well.
Again?
Yeah.